Cousin asked for a last-minute tattoo at his wedding, only for me to discover he wanted his ex's birthday inked. All right, so here's a bit about me. I'm a tattoo artist. I went through an apprenticeship and have been tattooing for about 4 years now. Recently, I even opened up my own studio. Pretty exciting stuff. Anyway, my family and I got invited to my cousin Matt's wedding, which is happening in another state. We got the invite a few months back, and now, suddenly, the wedding is just a week away. Out of nowhere, Matt texts me asking if I can tattoo him on his wedding day. I was pretty taken aback because I hadn't planned on bringing my gear or doing any guest spots, which, by the way, is when a tattoo artist works at a different studio for a bit to build clients. I jokingly asked him if he had a machine, hoping he wasn't serious, but he came back saying that bringing a machine wouldn't take up much space. I had to explain that it's not just the machine ID need my whole setup, including colors, hygiene stuff, stencils, needles, you name it. Plus, I'm not prepped to tattoo at a wedding where I don't know the layout or whether it's inside or outside. Matt then told me he had planned on this and that it would mean a lot to him if I tattooed him on his wedding day. This was the first time I was hearing about this. So I tried explaining again that it was short notice and that I had to work until my brother and I fly over for the wedding. Also, a tattoo needs to be designed first, right? Well, he saw my message but didn't reply. Then this morning, my mom called and she was absolutely furious. She demanded to know why I couldn't just tattoo Matt. I explained everything I'd already told Matt, but she wasn't having it. She said it would mean a lot to her and Matt's family if I did it, and even suggested it could be my wedding gift. Then she just hung up on me. I talked to my brother about it, and he just shrugged it off and said it would be nice of me to do it. Now I'm stuck, feeling really uncomfortable about the whole situation. I've never traveled with my equipment, let alone flown with it. Am I being selfish here? It seems like it means a lot to everyone, but I just don't feel right about it. Oh, and just to clarify a few things. 1. I already have a wedding gift. They had a wish list with their invites, and one of the items was artwork, because they recently moved into a bigger house. So, I spent several days oil painting something for them. 2. As far as I know, Matt doesn't have any tattoos. 3. I don't get why my mom is so insistent on this. I think she just wants to keep the peace. And there are a few more reasons why this wouldn't work. You can't mix getting a tattoo with drinking alcohol and knowing Matt there will be plenty of booze at this wedding. I wouldn't be able to drink either, which I hadn't even thought about until now. It's pretty inappropriate to expect me to work for free at an event where I'm supposed to be a guest. Plus, I'd need to be licensed to tattoo in another state. Even if I was okay with it, flying with all my equipment would be a hassle, and someone would need to cover the costs. The whole thing just feels presumptuous, especially since they had a gift list. If they wanted me to tattoo him, they could have asked when they sent out the invites. Also, they're going to Bali for their honeymoon. Fresh tattoos and swimming or sunbathing don't mix, so I doubt Matt has thought this through. This whole situation is making things super weird and uncomfortable. I've even thought about not attending the wedding, but that would be really sad. I'm not sure everyone would let it go by then, though. Some people have suggested that maybe the bride doesn't even know about this plan. If that's the case, explaining. Gee, the logistics of setting up and tattooing at the wedding might make them realize it's not feasible. In the end, if Matt wants a tattoo, he should come to my studio. It's more professional and way less stressful for everyone involved. So what do you think? So here's the deal. You can do the tattoo for him either before or after the wedding as a gift, just not during the ceremony. I mean, seriously, that's just nuts. Anyway, here's an update on everything that's happened. First off, I called my mom, and wow, she asked me again, but this time super nicely, if I wanted to tattoo Maddie at his wedding. Of course, I said no again, and gave her all the reasons I've told her before, plus some really good points you guys suggested. Before she could butt in, I told her I felt she wasn't really respecting my tattooing as a serious job. She went quiet for a bit, then admitted she didn't think it was a big deal. I had to explain again that it is a big deal, especially since she's my mom and should know how my job works. She finally got it and apologized a bunch. I then asked if she wanted to come with me to work and see what I actually do. Surprisingly, she said yes. So Mom's coming along tomorrow. Now on to Maddie, or rather his fiancée. Let's call her Becky. I finally managed to chat with Becky and asked her about Maddie's crazy request. She was pretty shocked because she thought I was making them something for their new house, like a painting since I'm the family artist. I confirmed that I do paint, but Maddie's idea just came out of nowhere, and it wasn't a good one for so many reasons. Becky agreed right away. Apparently, she does have some tattoos already. She thanked me for letting her know because no one else did. She seemed pretty mad, but kept it together. I guess Becky must have talked to Matt right after our call because a few hours later, I saw a message in the family group chat saying there will be no wedding ceremony on the 13th. Becky said they decided not to get married and needed to figure things out, asking everyone to contact them the next day if they had questions. They'd be on flight mode for the rest of the day. Becky called me after dinner to apologize for Matt's stupid idea. She said he thought it would be cool but didn't really think it through. She still wants me to come for what would have been the wedding day because she's throwing a party instead. Everything's paid for, so why waste it? I asked if they broke up and she said not yet, but she's staying with her sister for now. Sounds like Matt hasn't been great, but I'm sure he'll hear all about it. I found out my brother and mom aren't invited to this party, which is kind of funny. My call must have been the last straw. But honestly, Becky is handling things really well, and I think Matt will eventually be okay too. So, now I'm going to a party. Did I just make a new friend? Thanks everyone for supporting me through this. Update 2. Hey again. I finally got around to writing this update. Thanks for sticking around and enjoying the drama with me. So, about that, bring your mom to work day. I picked her up in the morning and took her to the studio. I gave her a tour, shared some backstories about the artworks and photos on the walls, and walked her through my routine as I prepped everything. When my client arrived, I did my usual thing, just with Mom watching. I explained each step, and she had lots of questions about the ink, needles, techniques, etc. It was actually really fun having her there. She was super open and interested, which was surprising. After I was done, Mom had to leave for work, but she thanked and hugged me, saying she loved seeing me in action and now has a better appreciation for my work. Now, on to the party. It started at 4 p.m. since there was no ceremony. I got there and was welcomed by Becky's sister, who helped me with the painting I brought. Everyone was outside already drinking and having S&A, sikis. I went to say hi to Becky, and she gave me a big hug. She looked tired but otherwise okay and was smiling a lot, which was a nice surprise. I mingled for a bit before I started to ask her too many questions. I met a lot of her friends, and it turns out most of them didn't really like Matt. They shared how he tried to change Becky to be more like his ex, and stuff not cool, right? Speaking of which, there weren't many of Matt's friends or relatives there, just me and one other cousin. Later, while eating, I asked to join Becky's table. She was sitting with her sister and 3 friends. I introduced myself to one of them I hadn't met before, and Becky mentioned I'm Maddie's cousin, the one who was supposed to do the tattoo. Everyone went, ooh, and the conversation immediately shifted to Matt. I asked what happened, and Becky's sister just rolled her eyes and went, what didn't happen? Becky and her friends told me Matt had been picking on Becky for being herself. It started with small things, like asking her to change her workout routine to just running, then criticizing her cooking because he wanted more meat and traditional dishes. They'd talk about these things, and it seemed okay, but he never stopped. He even asked her to grow her hair out or get extensions, and suggested dyeing it blonde. Becky has gorgeous long black hair, and it was clear he wanted her to be more like his ex from Texas. When I asked why she didn't break up with him sooner, Becky explained that in the moment, these things didn't seem as bad, but they piled up over time. She did try to make some changes to make him happy, but mostly kept doing her own thing. Eventually, the issues just kept coming up. So, yeah, That's the scoop. Thanks again for all your support. A few weeks ago, when Matt accidentally called Becky by his ex's name, they somehow managed to work through it. So, let's skip ahead to when I called Becky about this tattoo idea Matt had. After our call, Becky went up to Matt and asked why he hadn't mentioned anything to her about it and why he thought doing something like that on their wedding day was a good idea. Matt explained that he just wanted to surprise her and stuff. Becky told him that wasn't happening and that she wanted to enjoy the wedding and their honeymoon without any drama. They seemed to agree in the end and he apologized. But later, things almost fell apart again. As Becky was starting to cook dinner and Matt was sitting at the counter, they casually started talking about tattoos. Becky playfully asked what he intended on getting tattooed. He gestured across his chest and said he wanted his birth date, their wedding date, and her birth date, which he said was June 13th, 2024. Becky said she felt like she went blind for a second because that date was definitely not her birthday. She asked him again, and he repeated the same dates. Becky then told him that this wasn't her birth date, but Matt insisted it was and accused her of trying to trick him. She started to cry and ran to get her purse to show him her driver's license. That's when his face fell. He tried making excuses, saying he's not good with dates and stuff, but Becky wasn't having it. She went straight to her phone, checked Facebook, and found his ex's profile, which showed her birthday as the date Matt would have tattooed if Becky hadn't stopped him and if I hadn't called her. My dumb cousin almost ended up with his ex-girlfriend's birthday next to his wedding date on his chest. Becky told him it was over, and she'd had enough. She started reorganizing the wedding and honeymoon on the spot while kicking him out of the house. She called me later to explain everything, mentioning she didn't want to say it over the phone before because she thought I might tell the family, and she didn't want to deal with that. Fair enough. Becky changed the honeymoon booking and is now taking her best friend instead. If you're wondering, Becky's dad owns their house and they were paying him back slowly. So Becky is planning to stay there anyways. That's the tea, folks. This whole thing was wild, and I'm pretty sure Becky and I are going to be great friends. We really hit it off. I don't have much respect left for Matt, so I'm not sure I'll keep in touch with him at all. Commenter Ren101 said, "Thanks for the update. What a wild ending. Becky certainly put up with a lot before hitting her breaking point. I was wondering how long Becky and Matt dated before the wedding day. It seems crazy that he would be so sure of the wrong birthday. Have they celebrated Becky's birthday before? Has he ever said happy birthday to her on the wrong day? Either way, I'm glad it came out, and y'all are living your best lives now without Matt's nonsense clouding the way." I replied. They'd been together for about 3 years, I think. Commenter Yara Hervey said, "I've got a feeling Matt isn't over his ex yet. I assume she's the one who left because if he's the one who left her, he's very dumb. But from what you told us, I wouldn't put this past him. The end of that relationship is a good thing for Becky and in some way for Matt, too. Now he's free to pursue his ex again, LOL. Thanks for the update. Glad your relationship with your mom improved, and now you can distance yourself from the toxic people in your family. Good luck to your friend, Maddie." Update 3. Hi, everyone. Not sure if anyone still cares, but I thought I'd give a tiny update on how everything went. First of all, since that question came up a few times, I'm a woman. While Becky and her bestie went to Bali as they had replanned, we texted quite a bit. Then they came back, and we were still texting. At first it was all very superficial and polite, as she thanked me for telling her about the whole tattoo thing. We got into other stuff like music, movies, and hobbies. Turns out we have a lot in common, and she's just as nerdy as me, so we bonded over anime and games. I never had a female friend to share these interests with. She's also coming over for a few days next week, and I'm super excited. I'm super happy with how everything turned out and to see that Becky is doing very well without my cousin. I think she's truly relieved and is blossoming beautifully. Thanks, guys, for all your messages and comments. I really appreciate it. Commenter No Twyla 88 said, "That's great. BTW, have you heard from Matt?" I replied, "Nothing direct. I've talked to his mother, though. Apparently, he did try to reach out to his ex, but I have no idea what's going on there. Becky asked me out, though. Update 4. Hi, am very excited. Becky asked me out on a date. It's only in October because she wants to take it slow and needs more time since the wedding wasn't that long ago. But she wanted to make her current feelings clear to me. Commenter Sunflower and Dream said, UP traded her loser cousin for a new friend. Not a bad trade so far. Lucy Aria Rose said, honestly, things seem to have turned out well for OOP. A new friend, her mom understands her better, and she didn't have to tattoo her jerk of a relative, LOL. Radis said, I still can't get over Matt thinking he's going to get a chess piece at his wedding and just keep going like nothing happened. It's a wound, it oozes, bleeds, and hurts. The wrong birthday was just the cherry on top. Chukin5 said, yeah, I've gone to work after getting hip and wrist tattoos. While not unbearable, I could uncover my hip for periods while working because of my desk setup. It still wasn't an enjoyable work day. Expecting to dance on your honeymoon after getting a fresh piece? What an idiot. Coffee and Punk Records said, I am very heavily tattooed. I recently got my stomach done. I work from home and it was still uncomfortable. So, last week, I was taking some calls while lounging in my gym shorts and rocking a button-down shirt with the bottom few buttons undone. This guy, even before we get into the whole birthday fiasco, Mikala, seemed to be using Becky as a stand-in for his ex-girlfriend. It's like he wasn't over his ex at all. He kept trying to change Becky to be more like his ex, calling her by the ex name and everything. And don't even get me started on the birthday tattoos. They'd been together for 3 years, and he never even bothered to remember Becky's actual birthday. He was so convinced that his ex-birthday was Becky's. It's clear he didn't care about Becky. She was just a stand-in for his ex, like a doll that he projected his memories onto. The fact that he believed that incorrect birthday for so long just proves he was seeing her through some seriously tinted glasses and never really saw Becky for who she was. I'm so glad she got out of that weird situation. And can we talk about the pink hair? People were shocked when they found out he didn't know her real birthday after 3 years together. It reminds me of when my ex asked me to call a solicitor during our divorce. She asked me, in this very stern voice, what my birth date was. After 15 years together, she still couldn't remember it. So yeah, douchebags like this really do exist.